Hey, Periscope, what's happening? Joey Sparks here. Hope you're good today. Just want to share with you four things quickly that can help us as parents as we raise our children. We talked about before, and maybe you recognize from the scriptures, that parents are charged with raising children, and that responsibility falls first and foremost on parents. Now, we as the church can do plenty to help parents, and maybe this is one of those ways we can help as we think about four ways we sometimes or easily can raise children who are angry. Maybe this is helpful because Ephesians 6 and verse 4 says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger or to wrath. Do not direct them, do not stir up within them things that might cause them to be angry, to be resentful." And we don't have to think long and hard at all to think about sad scenarios where children resent their parents and where that kind of wrecks their entire lives. Or maybe they spend decades trying to unravel that mess. So, four things. Ephesians 6 verse 4 says, "Fathers, do not provoke or stir up your children to wrath." So four things, four ways we unintentionally, perhaps even, four ways though that we can create that negative environment that can lead to anger in their lives. So let's do our best to avoid these. The first one, maybe the most important, maybe will be something that would apply to the rest that we talk about. But the first is say one thing, but do another. If we say one thing, if we tell them to do something, to act a certain way, but we act in a different way, then they're going to be angry. They're going to see that, first of all, that the issue is not important enough for them to know the truth about. But maybe more importantly, we communicate to our children that they're not important enough for us to be honest with. If we tell them, you avoid this, you don't act this way, but then we act in that way, on the other hand, then they're going to see that they're not valuable. They're going to see that the truth about the matter we're telling them about is not valuable. They're going to get kind of motion sickness. They're going to see this, and they're going to be confused about life and about what to do and about how to obey the Lord. And so the first thing we cannot do if we want to raise children who are healthy, who aren't driven to anger, we cannot say one thing but do another. The second way we can cause anger, provoke, or stir our children up to anger is to mistreat their parent, mistreat the spouse, our spouse. In context, Ephesians 6, he's just come out of Ephesians 5, where he's talked about husbands and wives. That is coming off of verse 21 in chapter 5, where he says that we all submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Every single one of our relationships is connected to our ultimate relationship in God through Christ. And so if our children see us mistreating our spouse, then they're not going to see that our home values kindness. They're not going to see that our home values submitting to one another in a reverence for Christ. And they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to feel secure. They're going to wonder about the future of their home. And so that could be a big deal in terms of abuse, in terms of physical danger and violence, but it also could be just general verbal abuse or general mistreatment and not being dedicated and committed. And so we can easily create anger in our children if we mistreat our spouses, their parents, and we need to be aware of that as well. Now, we may not do it intentionally, but if we do it, it will affect our children. The most important thing we can do to our children is provide them a safe home, a safe haven where our marriage makes them feel comfortable and protected. Third thing we can do, unintentionally perhaps, but it's not a good thing if we do it. It will cause our children to resent us and to potentially think about us negatively. The third thing is if we provide rules without relationship. We have to earn the right in their lives to train them and to correct them. We can only do that with time. We can only do that with praising them and showing them love for who they are and for how God created them. And if we are so bent on giving them rules and correction, but we don't spend time with them, we don't show them love, then they will resent us. They will only view us as this controlling kind of taskmaster. And we have to give them a relationship in order to be able to earn their respect. So that when we do correct them, they believe us, that we've earned that trust. Some counselors suggest that we try to give 5 compliments to our children for every single negative, every single correction that we give them. And maybe that's a good rule of thumb. That can be difficult sometimes, depending on their age. We might feel like we're always correcting them. But that should remind us of this incredible honor and privilege that we have of raising our children. And so, are rules necessary? Absolutely. But we have to balance that and realize that those only are going to be effective in the context of a relationship. So if we give them rules, without a relationship, we'll raise angry children. Fourth thing, final thing. If we give them punishment without clear communication, if we make life miserable for them, we keep punishing them, but we've not told them here's what the expectation is, then that will cause them to resent us, to resent the punishment we dole out, to resent the teaching that we give them. So we have to be sure that we are clear about the rules and expectations so that when they break them, they know they've broken them, they know what consequences are coming. If we surprise them too often negatively and they don't see it coming and they don't even know they violated something, then that's going to create these negative emotions where they may resent us and the teaching we give them. So, review quickly. 4 things we cannot do if we want to raise healthy children. It's the 4 ways that we might unintentionally create or raise angry children. We say one thing but do another. We mistreat our spouse. We give them rules without relationship. And we give them punishment without clearly communicating what those expectations are. Anger really results from mismet or unmet expectations. And so we have to do our best not to cater to our children, not at all. We are the leaders. We are raising them. But we cannot cause them to view us negatively in light of what God teaches and in light of what we're doing to help them and encourage them. Thank you for joining Periscope. Let me know if you need me. And look forward to joining you again around lunchtime tomorrow. And praying that God blesses your home and your family. And we look forward to growing closer together through His Word.